The last thing I remember before falling asleep was my closet door. It was closed. I know it was because I have this weird thing about it. So when I woke up in the middle of the night, my heart dropped into my stomach. The door was open, just a crack, a line of pure black in the dimly lit room, and it was cold. A deep, unnatural cold was rolling out of it, carrying a strange smell like wet soil and rain. I stared, frozen, telling myself to get up and shut it, but I couldn't move. My body was locked in place by a primal fear. Then a sound started from inside the closet. Drip, drip, drip. It was the slow, steady sound of water hitting a wood floor. My mind raced. There are no pipes in that closet. Suddenly, the dripping stopped. The silence that followed was 100 times worse. With a slow, agonizing creak, the door swung open all the way. A man was standing there, behind my hanging clothes. He was soaking wet, as if he'd just walked out of a lake, dripping muddy water onto the floor. His skin was a sickly pale gray, and his eyes were dark, empty pits. He was looking at me, right at me, and a smile stretched across his face, a wide, horrible smile that didn't reach his empty eyes. He took a slow, squelching step out of the closet. He wasn't aggressive. He didn't lunge. He just stood there, dripping and smiling, and lifted a shaky, pale hand. He pointed. Not at me, but at the floor right in front of the closet. He pointed with such intensity, his whole body trembling, that his creepy smile faltered, replaced by a look of desperate sadness. My fear was still there, a cold knot in my stomach, but something else was there too, pity. This thing didn't seem like it wanted to hurt me. It seemed like it wanted to show me something. Taking a shaky breath, I grabbed my phone from the nightstand and turned on the flashlight, pointing the beam at the floor where he was pointing. The man flinched from the light, fading back into the shadows of the closet until he was gone. The cold vanished with him, but the puddle of muddy water was still there, and in the center of the puddle, my light caught on a slight imperfection in the floorboards. One of them looked a little loose. My heart was still jackhammering, but I crept out of bed. Kneeling down, I pried at the board with my fingernails. It came up easily. Underneath, wrapped in a rotting piece of cloth, was a man's leather wallet. My hands shook as I opened it. The driver's license showed a smiling man with kind eyes. His name was Daniel Clark. He looked nothing like the terrifying figure from my closet. Tucked behind the license was a folded, yellowed newspaper clipping. The headline read, "Local man missing, foul play suspected." The date was from a year ago. The next morning, I called the police. I didn't tell them about the ghost. They would have thought I was crazy. I just said I was doing some cleaning and found a loose floorboard with a wallet under it. Two detectives came. As they were examining the space under the floor, my landlord, Mr. Henderson, knocked on the door. He was an older, friendly guy who was always asking if I needed anything. "Heard you had some excitement," he said, smiling his usual warm smile. "Everything okay in here?" As he stepped inside, the room suddenly dropped in temperature. The air grew heavy, and that smell of wet dirt filled my nose again. I glanced at the open closet, and my blood ran cold. The dripping man, Daniel, was standing there again, visible only to me. But this time, he wasn't looking at me. His empty eyes were locked on Mr. Henderson, and his face was twisted in a silent scream of pure rage. The creepy smile was gone, replaced by raw hatred. In that moment, I knew. The detective asked me if I'd ever noticed the loose floorboard. I said, my voice surprisingly steady as I looked Mr. Henderson right in the eye. I said no. It must have been from the previous tenant. Mr. Henderson's friendly smile tightened. A bead of sweat trickled down his temple. Yes, tragic what happened to him. Young man, rented this very apartment. They never found him, did they? I asked, feeling Daniel's cold rage wash over me from the closet. The detectives came back into the room. "Ma'am," one said, "we found something else pushed way back in the crawl space. Looks like a knife." Mr. Henderson went pale as the ghost in my closet. He stumbled backwards, his eyes wide with panic, and bolted for the door. The detectives were on him in a second. It all came out later. Mr. Henderson had been stealing from his tenants. Daniel Clark had caught him, and Henderson had killed him in a panic, hiding his body and burying the wallet and weapon under the floor. The night after his arrest, I sat in my quiet apartment. The air was warm. The closet door was shut. I opened it slowly. It was just a closet, filled with my clothes. There wasn't cold, no smell of dirt, no dripping. As I was about to close it, I saw something on the floor. It was a single perfect white feather. I don't know where it came from, but as I picked it up, I felt a sense of peace settle over the room, and I knew Daniel Clark could finally rest.